Okay. So, welcome to our June Global Heart Resonance Council Stewards Call. And just want to embrace Michelle and June and Dinama and John. Am I missing anybody? I think we're good.
Nahid.
And Nahid, who just went to move. Yeah, on just in this circle of energy, because it's a lot of energy. We just came from this incredible call about resonance and community that was inspired by June, and it really absolutely ignited everyone in such an extraordinary way. So, which leads us to our call on bringing resonance forward. So, Oriana's hot to trot on something that she's been experiencing from the call, so I'm going to let her share. And then we'll just let's just take a breath and just send that energy in gratitude to the mother, in gratitude to the ancestors, in gratitude to the elementals, to nature herself, and all the angels and guidance that we're being gifted here as we move forward into this greater resonance for a community. So with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Oriana and then Henry share, and then we'll see where we want to go today.
Okay, let me see if I can recap what I was saying. I was really speaking to the feeling of the resonant frequency, the resonance that we feel together, and being able to feel the resonance with other groups as well, so that we begin learning from each other, like cross-pollinating. And it was one of the things that I asked Barbara, one of the last conversations we had, was I asked her specifically on the future of bringing that future that she's from, that she's connected with, that she feels as the other side of the tipping point. And how do we bring that in and seed it into our evolving awakening? And she said, essentially, it was my great question to follow. So it is what I've been following. And finding this seed within that is an unfurling, unfolding rhythm. And that this rhythm is an important ingredient now for the whole organism to begin to feel this inner pulsing that is what is calling us all forth. And we're hearing it in all our various ways, but it's calling us in a way that we can begin to coordinate with each other in this evolution that is beyond what we've known before. And the cooperation then is more of a felt sense. So we bring our resonance that we build and share together into a resonance with other groups that are unfolding as well. So that's essentially what I'm sharing, is that we're an integral part of this unfolding. That's it. You're on mute, Shelley.
Oh, I was just saying thank you. I was letting Henry jump in.
Okay, I'll jump in. Woo! The water's cold. Water's warm. So just want to share, maybe it was said in the part earlier, but today is a new moon in Gemini. So Gemini is about, well, it's connected with relationships, connected with brothers and sisters, relationship of people, relationship of ideas, relationship, all sorts of connections. So it's actually, or I was kind of sensing, kind of a perfect time for the theme for the global heart resonance, just opening to the significance of the meaning and the experience that you, Oriana, were speaking about and experiencing in our bodies. And also, I'm very much in agreement of how best to bring that experience into cross-pollination, but into our connection with other groups, but into all our relationships. To that I've been noticing, just even with a friend that I take time to pause and really listen. And this practice of the global heart resonance is just a way that I'm trained now. But I choose in each time, rather than reacting to respond, to open to the newness of what is wanting to emerge in each moment. So I just wanted to share that, of also finding ways that we bring this into our lives 24/7. In a sense, just realizing it, and maybe even especially in communications that aren't working out so well, of just noticing perhaps what is missing, or what could be added or sprinkled in of the resonance of love of the heart. So I guess that's what comes to me related to this. And I'm really kind of opening to, still connecting with the global heart resonance, to really open to new ways of people connecting with one another. And, even maybe using less words, though I'm using words as I say that, but just realizing or feeling the connection. Hi, Dina. Of just realizing it in different ways. And also, a last thing I'd like to share now is I was so grateful that in the program that I took at Damanhur, that there is such a large focus on our perceptions, on the body, on our experience. That is the key that brings to it our own truths, our own, what's true for us, we're experiencing it in our own experience, and in the greater fullness of our bodies, in the cells of our bodies. So anyway, and I guess the last piece, I love, some different ideas that are expressed from Damanhur are also, well, one is in a book, but it was expressed, is that to perceive is to create. To perceive, when we perceive, we are creating. And also was expressed by one of the teachers, to observe, or when we observe something, we are creating. So I'm still kind of working with, kind of the full extent. I'm not sure I fully understand that, but it's, it goes back to what we're getting from our experience, in the global heart resonance circle, or in this moment, or in each moment. And as we're becoming more aware of just the experience of life. One last piece that's actually coming to mind for me is one of my pages here, that they also express is life is an emotional event. So they were kind of bringing in, and in a larger context, they see as emotion as one of the elements. So we've got earth, water, fire, air, ether. They also add kind of within a larger context of emotions, time, velocity, substance, non-substance. Some of those I don't understand yet. But anyway, I just wanted to share that emotion is an important part of that. So I am complete for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to Nama and the Heat. We're just having a quick check-in, but also coming from the last call, which was so incredibly potent. This understanding, like what a perfect segue, resonance and community, because that's really what we're all about. And we're looking at different ways of broadening that experience for ourselves and for others, and that seeding of resonance in other communities, as well as, you know, Oriana was sharing, and even Henry and what he just shared was just this experience of, welcome June, this experience of sharing, of weaving our wisdom. So I'm just going to just share for a minute, and then Nahid and June, as you settle into this call, you know, for me, I feel like what I really received from that call and from my life is that I am the resonant field. I'm not trying to do anything other than to become a clearer expression of the field. We are already there. We've been, you know, even if the people are just coming in, people like Eric and Rosemary, it's like, I mean, if you listen to Rosemary at the end, she just was pulling all the threads of the field. She was speaking directly. She just pulled that word nature and went boom, you know? And I feel like that's, for me, the essence of what we're communicating here and what we're practicing, and helping other people to get out of a lot of story and a lot of words like you're speaking, Henry. And that maybe there's a way to communicate when you were speaking. Maybe there's a way to communicate in those little guidelines, you know, the willingness to speak less words, to tell less of a story, you know, because you notice you can totally feel the shift of energy when someone just starts to tell what happened to them yesterday. Even though it's applicable, there's a totally different experience when they are just voicing the field and using a little bit less words. And I was listening today, you know, just a couple of, in this particular call, and it happens, if I'm not mentioning your name, it's not because you aren't like that, it's just something I realized. But like when, you know, the Heat speaks, she usually like says, you know, what I am experiencing in this moment, or what the resonant field is, what's coming through. And then I'm just trying to think, I just noticed that the difference in the way that communication, so as I feel like we're here to learn to really become that, and not to question or to create separation from the, you know, the resonance is something other, you know, we have to take the resonance. We need to be the resonance and be that. And I think we're all being invited by the field to, you know, to be that in every circumstance, to look at where we get uncomfortable, or where, you know, like Julie was describing today, you know, coming into that black and white conversation. And I think what she was expressing was exactly what we're learning to as resonance council stewards to hold. Like, if we can hold this for the group, like, and we do, like almost 80% of the time. Sometimes it gets a little wobbly, but we're human, all of us, right? But this sense of, you know, not trying to bring in my teaching, or I need to tell them something, or I need to, even if it's the truth, and that's my issue, you know, even if it's the truth, you know, it's like, how do I be present and listen? And like Henry was sharing, just sit back and really know the field will speak and does speak. So I'm really grateful to be here, and I want to open this to Nahid and June just to share, and then we'll kind of come in and just see if there's specific focuses that we want to to engage here as we move into the summer, because there are a few key pieces that I need to share into this group. So yeah, I'm complete.
And Dinama as well.
Sorry, Dinama. I just expected, like, you've already been on the call, so I'm like thinking, yes, please share.
I would have loved that Dinamo would speak first, but movers, they came as we were ending the call. They took some stuff, they went to the storage. So I am in lots of emotional events that is happening within me. And it's telling me how important this is, because I really wanted to go with the truck, with the movers, not to damage my stuff and go to the new home. But obviously, I mean, this is where I needed to be. So because I may be called to go, I would love to. Oh. Oh. So, thank you. Yeah. And what you said, Henry, I am observing that I have thoughts or reactions towards even in this field, you know, when we go, when maybe it is the same for you, when somebody would go somewhere else with that, I see it's like I pull back, or I somehow it's some subtle judgment, and then I'm asking myself, what is that? What is happening? It's like, how can I consciously bring loving to that aspect of me that is expressing itself, and it seems it is not mine. It seems that it is not mine, but it really is mine. So that was something I was experiencing today. And so I'm complete. I have to say that I intentionally, was challenging for me to say what I said about to fall in love differently. But I had to say that I was so happy with myself that I gave myself permission in the presence of men to say that, because that is the truth of what is even happening now. Thank you.
So it is such a ecstatic energy to be in conscious co-creation, that frequency together. It's really ecstatic. You know, Barbara called it vocational arousal, whatever. It's that place of lighting up inside when you know you're consciously in frequency with others who are co-creating with you, with us, being that true. That's the home frequency. That's the resonant field, is that place that we are consciously in co-creation. So I feel that these calls, the dream of really, or the vision of us expanding ourselves, is in process. And as those ones are drawn in, you know, listening to the story for the energetic that they're sharing. That's the part I'm holding, is listening, allowing, appreciating without judgment the expression of each one as they show up in that collective field, and at the same time holding consciously the place of the energetic, because I feel eventually that one who is storytelling does find that connection energetically. So that's just one way I feel we can consciously hold the frequency for each one, to find their way. And then I was just remembering what Nancy Chaconis was saying, that somehow she's seeing in our presence what we've been speaking in our words. She was like, I see this happening and how it looks and how it feels. So thank you for teaching me this with her words today. And I thought, wow, that's also really powerful. So each one of us shows up in the collective field with our own perceptions, and not everyone perceives, from the same part of the crystal. And so anyway, that to me is us holding the frequency, and then also consciously co-creating in that moment of how we're experiencing it, and that which is wholeness, and you or I, this is me talking to me, to us. So it's a real experience of wholeness and also conscious co-creating. It's very powerful. I feel like it's reached a level of like global energetic connection, and it's showing up here in each of our expressions. So anyway, Yahoo. That's my check-in.
Good morning, everyone. I am having a challenging technology day, to say the least. 2 computers and 1 phone would not work for quite a while. So I apologize for the wavering beginning we had. And on top of that, I have house guests and a house guest dog and an infection in my toe. So I was trying to do a million things, didn't do it well. But the call itself brought out, I thought, some really wonderful thoughts, ideas, and feelings of what community really is. And the whole idea of, if we're consciously willing to be present, nothing else really matters, because then we are, we have inserted ourselves, myself, into the community, and no matter what else is going on, I'm held, and I'm present. And I think that's the learning, that no matter what else happens, don't let it take you out of consciousness. Instead, just sit right there in the middle of whatever is going wrong or upside down, and invite myself in, and I'm in. And so that's always a good learning after all these years of just not letting myself get off balance, because what supposedly is supposed to work doesn't. And to just settle into being in the community, and it will happen. And so there were some beautiful things said today. And I think more than anything, it's the knowledge that that community never goes away. It's not like I have to find it. It's always there. It's me that has to decide to be present, no matter what else is going on. And when I did manage to get in, just the warmth of all of your faces, the tones, the loving tones in your voices, helped me get back into my center. And all is well in that place. all is always well in that place. So that's my crazy beginning to the day, and my being present in the circle now. I do have another issue, and that is that we're due down in Santa Cruz and not too long. So I will keep you on the phone. I will probably get off Zoom and just try to phone in. So much love to you all. I will be here, whatever form that's in.
Yeah. So June, just know that, I mean, you can get off. It's fine because this is recorded. You can check into it later. You know, just relax, and a lot going on there, obviously. So, and we hold the space for you. Don't worry about having to have to get on, back on. You know, don't. We gotcha.
Okay. Just don't want to miss a thing.
Oh, you can. I mean, that's another story.
Yeah.
So let's take a breath. I just feel the synergy of everything, you know, just, you know, the joy of all the expressions were so much exactly on track today. Like, you know, the way Nancy said she was thinking about Dawn, and then he popped on, and then Nahid said she was thinking about Eric, and he popped on, and you know, this high level of synergy is what we were seeing in the communications. And I want to pull back, because I think this is really amazing. And thank you, Nahid, for bringing this up, and then thank you for pulling this through. So, and I think as Resonance Council, I don't want to lose this thread for the moment, which is Nahid was describing how sometimes when people are sharing, you know, the little thoughts come in, or you want to pull back, or from my experiences, I'm judging, and I want to just come in and do something right then and there and change the frequency, and then Dinama just sharing this way of being and perspective and holding the field, because I think this is really a poignant moment as Resonant Council stewards, that we can not only grow in ourselves, but we can be present for other people. At the same time, I want to say something, because I think this is really important. I'm sure you noticed today that twice I came, at least once, if not twice, I came in and I just called on guidance to support the weaving. You know, we are, maybe this is a new evolution of understanding ourselves as Resonant Council stewards, because we are conscious weavers. We are resonance weavers. So however you want to maneuver with that, because you'll notice that I took a breath, I waited, I was, one of the times I actually invited people into a pause, because I could feel it wasn't going to be a pause with the next person. And this is, and also then I really called on spirit to support the weaving back in of the energy after someone started to tell a lot of story, you know, and I just want you to know, as Resonant Council stewards, you know, I honestly invite you. So it's one more step than just being present for what's happening. It's actually that if you feel you are being called on, now we need to be in tune with each other, because if there's 4 of us on and we're all noticing it, we just want to be, you know, really breathing and in that rhythm that you're talking about, Oriana, so that we're not obstructing the flow. We're actually supporting a little bit more energy into the field. It's like, and I'm hoping I'm doing my best way of communicating this. So, number 1, yes, we need to move out of our own judgments and obstructions. Number 2, yes, we need to hold presence for whatever's moving, and knowing, just like Dinama was saying, how beautiful that everybody in their own timing is going to really get this feeling of resonance and be able to communicate that, you know. And maybe they'll, you know, I see come the fall, maybe there's some training around that, you know. We're ready for that. At the same time, I'm inviting you as Resonance Council stewards to listen to the field. You have to be really attuned, because you can't come in with your own stuff. But there is a way to, and in the beginning I was not very good at it, so I welcome you to test it out, but to weave and a lot of times the way I'll do it is I'll go, oh, what I'm, come in and go, okay, so what I'm hearing, or what's moving in me now. And you can just take all of that, what's been going on, and move it into its, it's like learning how to track the field and create the wave. So we're not really going against the wave, we're being part of the wave, but we're bringing in that new information so that we're helping people to weave. So they're moving out of the I and, oh, this person said, or I'm saying, or, or telling us, like I'll just say to this group, like Sharon today, she was telling a lot of story about, even though it was meaningful, it wasn't necessarily the field speaking. It was meaningful to her to share it into the field. So, to just keep weaving that conscious creation. I think that's all I want to say, because essentially we're just holding the field in its wholeness and helping it to, maybe one of you have another way of expressing that, but I think that it was important to me to say, hey, this is part of our role as council stewards coming on that call, and especially the person who is, being with me on the call, like who's ever bringing in the resonant reflection. I would lean toward them first, and in fact, that's the best way to look at it. But also I wanted to acknowledge that as resident council stewards, we're all practiced enough in this, remember the one other place that I did it was when Eric started asking questions. He's new, he doesn't know. Well, what are we going to do? Because if I let it go to that next person, it's going to take a while for the resonance to come back, right? We know that. So I've learned, okay, I'm not judging this, but I'm going to take this and come in and invite the pause, let him feel that he's held, but bring it back into the field so that we can continue on. So with that, I open the call to anyone who, wants to reflect on this, because I think this is a really important, sharing.
Thank you. Thank you, my love. Yeah. I did observe that, and I admired the way you came in. So what I'm receiving is, it seems we are doing something for the world, for the collective. It occurs that way. But the truth is, in what I experienced today, then I was thinking, it's like, that person, that story, it triggers something in me, and I'm not owning it. It's like I'm not, and it's like, oh, can I consciously bring loving into that and embrace that? And that's what actually you are saying. So what I am seeing, this is our actual work. This is our work. And the community is the opportunity, is the excuse for me to experience all different aspects of me in that relational field. The rest would be the byproduct of who I am in that moment, in that evolving feeling resonance field, and what I bring into it. Thank you. I am complete.
Yes, I agree. I think that's an important skill to know, to practice with, especially if we'll be doing our own circles, or even just in our interrelationships or part of circles. I hesitate to invite everyone in to possibly help to do that, but I see more, I think, as you suggested, Shelley, as at least someone who's the main facilitator and maybe the reflection person, to be the ones that are invited to hold that. Otherwise, we may have reactions to reactions or something. And also, I think the ideal way to do that, which you most often use, Shelley, is just returning to the silence, returning to the field. So that's the ideal way. And also, I also heard Don kind of speaking and sharing a lot today. And, I haven't connected with him so recently, and maybe it's me too, that I found him to be more resonant, although he was sharing that. And then I also thought, what other form would he be able to communicate? I mean, it sounds like some beautiful things that he's offering there, and how else might he be able to share that? So I kind of took that in as something beautiful, although it was outside of the usual parameters, or maybe kind of drawing outside of the coloring, outside of the lines, which sometimes is important to do, to not be fully, certainly some people speak more than 1 to 2 minutes on occasion. But that's kind of, so anyway, that's my feelings on that, but it's such a beautiful subject, because, things can go astray, whether it's in a conversation with someone, or in a group that we're cross-pollinating with. So ways of returning back to the field. So I'm complete.
I just want to drop in just for 1 sec. Number one, we have had 5.5 years of Don Pett advertising. It is nothing new. And I was wondering if he was going to do it again. And over the years, he became more resonant. I had to call him a couple of times and talk to him about it. And it's amazing, the focus on unconditional love and peace and presence and the things that he's doing is amazing. He cannot help but advertise. It's just unbelievable. And yet you saw today he brought it back to the field himself, which he was never capable of doing years ago. So, and we, and maybe this is the key piece too, is we loved him up. We loved him and we knew it. And he was our nemesis, so to speak. He was the one who taught us how to love more. And this is another essential ingredient of a resident steward, is to love more. That's what we're doing. On the same hand, I am listening for today I didn't do it because there wasn't really any new people on, but when I share those guidelines, how can I have it in my consciousness and I'm allowing it to perturbate, and you can have a share, in that. So how do I actually say, like my old self would go, and there's no advertising on it, we're not going to talk about whatever your mind is thinking. You're like, leave your questions behind, as some of you know, I've come a long way. But at the same time, it's like, as residence council stewards, if there is a way to have that as part of the guidelines, like I don't really want to have more than 5 guidelines, like that's enough for people to digest. But it might be something that we put in the new upcoming video or document that says, it doesn't say, no, this is not what we do. It's not rules, but it's inviting people into a broader understanding of why they would not want to, bring that into this space. So again, just leaving that there. I just wanted to share that. I'm complete.
So I just wanted to, I'm not sure. let me tune in. What wants to be said here? I was actually just getting this morning about the retreat that I'm to do some kind of a workshop there. I don't know what form that would take, what it looks like. This is all news to me. I'm just going, okay, what am I to do? But there's a level of which we are awakening to the sensations of the field itself. And as that awakens, that's what becomes the predominant, oh, this is how we communicate. And I really feel that's what Nahida's been saying as well, that, oh, there's something deeper, and that we literally can feel touched. And I was communicating to Terry Putton when he said, oh, I feel really touched. And I missed my opportunity to say, what does that actually feel? How do you feel touched? What is that sensation that is the field communicating with us, that is a non-linear, multidimensional languaging? And we have to awaken to its higher form of communication, intelligence, that we simply don't have the apparatus for, and we're awakening to it. And that's exactly what you've been describing, Shelley, is really getting better at it, finding it, feeling it. What does it want to say? What does it feel? How do I weave? All of those things are you can feel it being communicated through the field. And I've been amazed at how much the appreciation that we flow, and as you were speaking to, flowing love to Dawn, that actually translates through this virtual media. I mean, it's extraordinary when you consider we're not in the same room together, we're in the same world together. And it translates through as we hold that intention and frequency with it. So, and the other thing I was just going to speak to was that video, and I'm glad to hear that it is in process, because I think that's really become essential, that there's a stepping in point, that new people like Eric did have really good questions. You know, I listened to your response to them, and I was happy to hear it, because there were things that I didn't know about the history of this group. I was like at the first public meeting you had, and so I had no idea really what the background was. And I've only learned it in sort of bits and pieces as we've gone along. But having that background and having more of a sense of context, exactly what Eric was asking, I think it's really a good idea. And then presenting the guidelines as, here's how we have come together. First step, here's how we formed, here's what we've learned, here's how we've evolved. And this is the guidelines that we follow in this evolutionary process that we are in. And so that there's a step-by-step way to enter and to interact and to understand what it is that we are holding in this field. I mean, most of the people that have come in, and I've seen it change just since I've been with the group, that people come in and they're expecting kind of this community call. Well, here's what I did, and we went on vacation, and we did this, and, you know, like it's a Facebook kind of camaraderie, and there's certainly a time and place for that. And this isn't that group. That's what I have thoroughly appreciated, and I think that's what brings people in and brings them back, is the sense that it isn't about personality. It's about what we are feeling and sensing and communicating together, and that we're all learning. That's the beauty of it. I had just had this vision I want to share real quickly, is that we're like in this tribal coming together in our encampments from all of our different little tribes within the Amazon, and we find each other in a clearing. We go, whoa, and we don't speak each other's language. So we have to come together in a way that, what's our common language of love? And how can we communicate this beyond our unique experience of life? What's that? Oh, unbelievably rich life unfurling, like we're all finger-like little projections that are one organism. And how can we come together in more reverence to allow even more unfurling and unfolding? So, thank you.
Ah, breath just for a minute. It was really beautiful the way you communicated that. Just wanted to, he'd hang in 1 minute. So I'm just trying to pull threads or listening for the thread. So just so that you know, the video in process is not even really in process. It's only in process in my head. and and I want to speak more logistically when everyone has had a chance to share on this particular subject. Timing, logistics, calls, and we need to get into that before we end this call. So yeah, and thank you for the breakdown, because the history of where we came from is something Julie and I have been talking about, and we want it on the website, and we want it in terms of where we're going with what she's focusing on, the global transition team or whatever that will be called. So, but no, it's probably coming more to the fall. It'll be, and it may even be just completely brought out. Maybe we'll do the videos at the retreat, because what a perfect place to do it when we're all there and all in presence, and get a videographer to do it. So that's what I'm getting right in this moment. So Naheed, go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is a moment of truth for me, and I am challenged to communicate what I'm communicating, what I want to communicate, but the loving that is holding the space for this to be communicated is much more a stronger force. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. As a member of the Resonance Council, it would work for me better, or maybe this is what is working, and I see my triggers, that when we don't bring big names here, like my love, Oriana. When I talk to Barbara Max Hubbard, or when I ask her that, when I talk to Terry Patton and I ask him that, when with Ken Wilber I had this and that, for me, Oriana, it is the collective awareness of all those people. Oriana is Terry Patton, Barbara Marx, Hubbard, Ken Wilber, Mark Gaffney, and everyone else. And that is how I've been desiring to play with you as you, my love. Thank you for holding this space to be the listener for that.
And I would like to follow that in holding that loving space, since this is the second time you brought this up, Naheed, which is that for me, I understand where you're coming from. And for me, this seed that I've been given is this collective unfurling of all of these communities as well. That's what's being brought forth in me, to not take their word. But when Terry Patton talks about a we space, I will guarantee you he's creating a resonant field. That's what we're doing in that group. We all belong to other groups, and that's the cross-pollination that's coming through. So I would invite you to look at your reaction of what's the problem if we mention, and it wasn't in this resonant field that it was even mentioned. This was another group that knew of that work, and that's what I was speaking to with Heinz. It was, I'm feeling like you're making wrong what it is that I'm saying and feeling, and what is for me. And rather than hold me in love and appreciate whatever it is my connections are, and what what I know of the other fields coming into play as well, there's something even more powerful that's pulsing through. So I'd appreciate the space to be able to be with how it is for me.
Thank you, my love, for your feedback. And we are that. Thank you.
And for me, there is no separation.
Yes.
And when I speak to asking Barbara, it was a moment that I was feeling this transition of that future she is from, that she exists in, that we're being asked to come through in such a remarkable way now, to step up and step through. And I do appreciate what you're saying about, oh yes, their ideas have been our foundation, in much the same way that having some context for this step that we're doing as the council and as this video step of give people some foundation of here's where we've been, and now we can take that next step. For me, that's what Terry Putton, Ken Wilber, all of my studies in all of these different groups, including Emily Conrad, was one of my greatest mentors for 20 years. So that movement of how we communicate, how we express, I stand on the shoulders of giants, and yes, we can bring it all forward and all into an inclusive reason, not an exclusion. I can't talk about this because you react to it.
Okay, I'm going to thank you, both of you. And this is the space that it can happen in. So, Oriana, will you just put yourself on mute just for a second? And thank you. So first of all, this is the place where we come, and this is, you know, why the field has brought this forward today. Like I kept hearing, and how beautifully, and Naheed, you were the one who brought it forward, talking about noticing your judgments, noticing, right? So first of all, let's just go into the silence just for a minute so that each person has a chance to integrate the energy, right? So this is the energy. How I would describe it in dowsing is that anything other than love has to come up to be fully embraced and integrated in order for the field to expand itself in the way that it wants to, or the earth wants to express itself. So both energies are received and accepted, and I think I can help with one thing. So and the invitation is the both and. So there's something pushing to wanting to be heard at the same time. The reactionary part, the part that feels that they have to tell the, I've always been a person who always felt like I had to tell the truth, or to reveal the truth to others who I thought weren't seeing it. And that's been a very big journey. So we hold all of us in that state, and you're expressing it for the whole right now, both of you. And Oriana's request to, to what it felt for her. At the same time, I want to just share something. So here's the thing. As good of the whole resident stewards, it's not that that resonance isn't being created other places, because it obviously is. In fact, June, perfect, she's showing, coming back on. So June, where did this inspiration come this morning? It came from a community that's focused on resonance. All those quotes were from somebody else. All those quotes was from another community being focused on resonance. Now, mind you, is it the same thing we're talking about? I don't know yet. I haven't explored it. I don't know. But the quotes hit home. At the same time, if June might have noticed, two of the quotes I kind of cut off, because for me, it went a little bit astray from my experience of resonance. It got a little bit, I don't know, some of the words, I can't remember what it was, but I took off, for me, it got a little bit judgmental, or it wasn't really holding the field. So I shaved it a little bit on two of those quotes, also just because of the the sense of wanting to make it sort of a unified experience for people. So it's a both and. And if you can, and it's so from that perspective, I want to honor those, even Barbara Marx Hubbard. Now, on the other hand, Julie and I got very clear we were not going to get involved with Barbara Marx Hubbard from the point where we decided it. Because when Good of the Whole came through, because Barbara was an incredible visionary, but she actually couldn't hold the resonance. She didn't know how. And she wasn't a co-creator. Now, mind you, in the last year, maybe things shifted being, I don't know, because I got bits and pieces, so I'm not going to be there to judge. But we were very clear that this voice of resonance wanted to move itself in through another organism that could hold the field, that could develop. And even Barbara Marx Hubbard, during one dinner, said to me, it was the last time I actually really sat with her personally, she said, Shelley, will you get it who you are? You're the coordinator of resonance. Start doing it, be it. And I was still like, So we want to honor. At the same time, I feel like there, and what Nahid's attempting to bring through, and I think this is the essence, is that there is this pure frequency that we are holding here. And I haven't seen it or felt it in a lot of different other groups, even though they're talking about resonance. Although yesterday I met someone from Australia who I'd never met before, and she, like, the level of communication about resonance I had never experienced with anyone other than us right here, right? At the same time, I asked Henry to stop talking about the we space here, not because it isn't the same resonance, but simply because that's what Terry Patton's talking about, And so, and also it has a certain, like, when Grace talks about the we space, she's talking about it differently in a sense than Terry Patton. So it's a little, when there are certain terms that get used over and over again, they can be a little convoluted. So the invitation here, and what I feel like Nahid's trying to bring forth, is to the experience we're having is on its new edge of evolution right here with us. And to be aware, not to not say stuff about other people, Terry Patton and all these, amazing people, but to embrace it ourselves, to step into our power and our expression of the field itself. So again, these are just bits and pieces to be, for all of us, it wanted to come through here because I think the field is helping us to become non-judgmental, to be able to be more open to hold the space, to have the transparency so he could feel free, to say that. At the same time, I could also feel the energy that wasn't so, was like not so pure, that she needs to integrate, right? So all of this is really helpful to all of us if we look at and feel it as the opportunity of us to become more intelligized by the field. The field is inviting us to really embrace the wholeness of who we are, and that even, the separation of native, indigenous no longer can exist, because we're all indigenous. If we're tapping into the field, if we're in that co-creation with the field, then we are getting all the information right here, right now. Call it the Akashic records, call it whatever you want. But this is, when each one of us is speaking and we really feel that, you can feel it in the field. It's new, it's fresh, it's empowered. And yet we might use, I asked this person a question and this is how my awakening happened. There's nothing wrong with that. And we don't want to make others wrong. And I can say that, and I'll end here, because I have grown up in an environment of what is wrong and how that feels. And I became that. And I was the one who was wronging others just by virtual communication, the worst communication skills. And I pray every day that I'm becoming better at holding that expression so people don't feel that, so that don't feel that I'm attacking them. But there's a way of communicating what I'm feeling that helps the person to evolve if they're ready. And if it's in the right timing, because the right timing is everything. So I just want to appreciate both of you for being in this field and bringing this up, because obviously it had to, in order for us to become better at resonant holders for all those that are coming in and going to be part of our programs, are going to come to the retreat, going to come on the Monday call. Maybe the Monday call is going to have to split because there's too many people. It's going to have to, so thank you. And I'm complete. Thank you for listening to me.
And I would like to follow that. We're just to bring this in to Ken Wilber, transcend and include. And I feel that that's really an important foundational step that we bring into this frequency that you don't own. It isn't separate. This is my resonance. It is the resonance. And it is what other groups are discovering in their way. And to transcend and include makes it essential, like bringing together different religions that, no, my God is my God. You don't believe the way I do. No, the only way to God is. No, we can't talk about olive here. That's essentially what we have to transcend and include all of that as well. That we have to decide for ourselves what it is for us, not decide what it isn't for anyone else. It's not about that. Says who? Says who? What we have to decide is what it is for us. And that's what we bring. It is about this resonance. And however we get here, we all have had journeys and incredible, unique paths. We have learnings from lifetimes that we're bringing in, and it's all celebrated in its sacredness as an offering. This is what I've learned. We're bringing our learnings back to the tribe as the indigenous people did, right? And I agree. We are indigenous. We are earthlings. We created life here. It's inside of each of us in our evolutionary unfolding, and it's evolution at its highest unfurling that continues to draw us forth. And that the appreciation is that we include everyone in the intimacy. The infinity of intimacy is to leave no one out of the circle, to bring everyone in. And to hold them is wherever you are is just wonderful. And however you get to your next step is however you get there. Here's what we know. Here's what we've done. Here's the guidelines. You take those steps as you're ready and as you're willing and as it's on your path. So, quite a little dissertation, sorry.
I don't know whether to say something here or not. So I'm also realized, because that's part of my journey, that I'm bringing in the pieces that I am holding in my heart as inquiries from my experience at Damanhur, because that's part of my journey. And one of the things that was actually expressed by our waters coming together or something, I'm not remembering the quote exactly from the global heart resonance, but one of the things that was expressed there was that my growth runs through your growth. And, and vice versa. And so our growth is intimately connected with the different streams or the different groups or the different experiences that we have, and we can't separate that out. It's part of the living organism. That someone expressed on the call that maybe even our roots are helping to feed the roots of another tree, or one tree, another tree. So anyway, I just wanted to add that little piece.
You're on mute, Shelley.
Thank you, Henry. That was beautiful. I was having the visual of musicians, musicians who play harmonics, and they're playing their harmonics in their different ways, and they maybe there's a Jimi Hendrix, or these different celebrity musicians, and so in fact, this is a perfect example. I love pentatonics. I adore them. Amazing music. They're a cappella, although they just made this. So their top video right now is from the song Shallow from The Star Is Born, from Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Now, at first when I saw it, I went, "Oh, what are they doing?" Like they're taking their song, it's like, and it's top of the charts, and yet they embrace that resonance, that harmonic, and I'm telling you, it is what they did with it was incredible. So I feel like it's very much attuning to the field, and it just, obviously someone must have had that thought about, let's do this song, and I think the key piece is how we hold the honoring, how we hold it in our heart, as Henry was saying, and then also trusting the timing of how it comes in. When is it coming in? For me, if you look at kind of what happened when Oriana shared that, it was like in the resonance call, it actually, it didn't trigger necessarily, it actually opened up other people's awarenesses, and I think I even spoke about Barbara Marx Hubbard. At the same time, I've been through, I think our individual journeys, okay, this is really important, because my journey was how I gave my power away by doing what Nahid's talking about. I'm not saying you're doing it, Oriana. I'm saying that my journey, and maybe this is part of Nahid's trigger, my journey was for years realizing how I was giving my power away to my mentor. And it took me a breaking away to get my pendulum to swing, and my pendulum swung the other way until I could come back to center and embrace those parts of myself that were in resistance to those leaders, because I was the one who was giving my power away. And I think that's really what's being spoken to, is, how we can really embrace, like you're saying, transcend and embrace and include all of it. But we can't until we realize where we're leaking our energy. And that was a 20-year journey for me, and we have to be, I need to be, I'm only going to speak for myself, I need to be loving myself so much in that journey in order for me to hold it for somebody else. And not try to push them into a greater awakening when I feel like I want it. Because nobody could have pushed me. I mean, people were telling me, "What the hell are you doing?" I can remember 20 years ago. "What are you doing? They couldn't stand my ex-husband. He was, king of the mastering the art of love and relationship. I could not see it until I could see it in myself, where I was still doing that same thing, giving my power away." And I think that's the journey of all of us, in terms of those people that are, becoming that we see as illuminators, and yet if I don't realize it in myself, that's the scary part, In fact, even in my book, I couldn't write chapter 12. I couldn't do it. Guess why? Because I wasn't willing to take on who I really was, that I was a navigator of the heart. And until that 12th chapter would not write itself. So I love that this is, coming up today. I think there's a piece for all of us in this, and we're holding it for the whole. And I love you, everybody. I love that you brought this up, Nahid. I pray, Oriana, that you can, just embrace this and hold this, and we all have a part in this, because we're holding it for every single new person that comes in, that they're stepping in. Part of the resonant field is that it's inviting us to step into who we truly be, and to be that voice, And it's a journey. It doesn't just come, when somebody else wants it for us. Or, I feel like thank you both. Thank you everybody here, because this is a perfect expression for moving into, this transition out of my home and into my newness, so to speak. So let's open it up a little bit more, and then you can speak, Henry.
I just want to quickly say something that I kind of have as a question about that is the kind of Facebook practice of putting in what everybody else is doing. Kind of the daily sharings are being a vehicle for all the good things that are happening, rather than, so in a sense, it's almost like the resonance circle is that we're having other people's voices or what they're doing, and we're not focusing as much on our own unique gifts and expression. So I'm not sure, but I see reflected that a lot of time is put into finding things on the internet that people are doing, rather than expressions of what we are doing. So I just wanted to bring that up. In a sense, it's like this conversation within the resonance circles that, when we bring in other people's names and things, that we're kind of creating less space, or even, when I tried to find and put, for one day of finding something beautiful that someone else was doing, I realized I found that it took away from, I was working on the reflection for the coming resonance call, and I wasn't able to be as clear. It wasn't together because I had spent a period of time focusing on that. So, and just another little piece, I'm not sure if it fits in now too, but something was expressed as a newsletter, which might also give us a chance to articulate and cultivate our own voices. So anyway, I just wanted to put that in. Sorry for adding if that's a big piece in itself.
Well, this is Dina, and just the part that keeps pulsing is I am the one speaking for the whole of us. And this is where I immerse myself in that knowing, so that when I presence myself, all of us are there. The whole of us is there. And the impact into the field is exponentially increased. And so with that knowing and our conscious choice to presence ourselves in that place, we are delivering the field, we're delivering the wholeness we are, and we're creating it in the field. So this to me is our most potent practice. And I'm just blessed to be with us and to be consciously co-creating with us. So all of us are there. Barbara's there, Buddha's there, Joan of Arc's there, whatever. So that's to me my present practice, and joy to have all of us there in the moment with me. I'm complete.
I need to go, and I am in the moving process. And we are in the moving process. So I am getting that. I'm grateful for we as representative of the field, what we have created. I am grateful for the gift of today, that my love for the one, for that one heart, which it is the compass for the whole creation, could not let me not to speak my truth. And I could not, for the fullness of the love and that presence, thank you for this trust and the safety of this space, that I can express what is happening with me and to receive the gift and fully open my heart and be present. Thank you.
Thanks, Nahid. So I'm going to jump in because I can feel the time is coming, and I just want to, this is really important. So thank you everyone for everything. This is going to ripple through our lives, and we can, if there's anything more that moves around this, we can email each other. We can do that. Beautiful. What's really important is I'm about to start traveling. And Nahid, you asked about June 24th, and I'll go look. And there's not necessarily enough time to talk about this, but I'm making the decision. I mean, we need to, there is 3 weeks where I am not available at all on 3 Mondays. Actually, it's probably 4, but June 24th is one of them. And so I need to talk to Julie first, and then I was going to talk to Henry, because either we'll have the June 24th one and Julie can run it, or maybe Henry, I don't know. But my Zoom can't be used because I'm going to be internationally traveling. And the question is whether, and this is tricky because this has never happened in 7 years, whether we take it July off or take at least two weeks off. So just musing with that, because next week is Michelle, and I'm going to talk to Michelle about making sure she gets to me by Friday. If you are the one who is going to bring in the reflection, and we are going to do it, you've got to get the next, you've got to try and get it out by Friday. It's getting too challenging. Julie's asking, please get it to me. She wants to have the weekends off, and the two of us coordinate to make this happen. So sometimes if it goes to Saturday morning, it has to do that. But just, I wanted to say that as an awareness. The other thing, which is really important, we are now asking every person in the Resonance Council and anyone who's really involved with Good of the Whole to be part of, to be giving a monthly donation of $15. If for some reason you cannot do that, just call me up. Okay, there's no judgment, but we want to hold the frequency now because we are ready to move forward. As you're feeling it, we want to get some of this stuff out, and the newsletter, and all of this takes a lot of time, and we want to try and get someone to do it. Not Julie, not myself. The newsletter, yes, I'm going to talk to Julie about that later today. So that's going to start happening starting this month. We want to, and I invite you to call it the monthly digest, because that's kind of how we're holding it in Good of the Whole. So the third and fourth week, I'll be talking to individually, and we'll figure out what we're going to do. So I don't know that there's time right now to do that, but I wanted to make sure that everybody heard it as a collective, that there is this issue, and whatever happens is fine. Julie will probably take it on the 24th, or Henry, and then we can decide from there what we want to do. So that's it. Nahid, we love you. Let's everybody just take ourselves off mute.
I love you all, especially you, Oriana, my love.
Happy moving,
That was out of in the way between my full loving for you. Thank you.
Okay, you guys talk about that on the separate call. Okay.
Bye.
Mwah. Bye. Happy
The
moving,
the
everybody.
10th weekend I will be at CCC and I'm going to be missing you all.
June. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Love you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Mwah. Carry that.
I totally receive your gift of letting go of letting others giving my power away. So thank you.
So I love you, and we'll look for an email, because I will send out an email after this with the replay, as well as maybe just a few things that are important. So love you, June. Thank you for today. Henry, absolutely beautiful what you've been sharing. Oriana, gorgeous, gorgeous. Lucy, gorgeous, gorgeous. And we love you all. And those of you who aren't with us.
Shelley, Shelley, I have a Zoom, my own Zoom account. If you need another account to use.
Okay, but then you have to be, I'll talk to you about it, but then you have to be
Well, no,
responsible.
I would send out the invitation and, or have whoever sends out the
It's a little
invitation,
bit
but I
more.
would be there.
Okay, I'll talk to you. It's a little more complicated than that. So that's why. But thank you for offering. I know, Henry, you have yours as
I
well.
have a Zoom account too, and I think I have the separate audios set up.
Okay, so we'll speak about that, and love you all. And this has been a phenomenal call. I'm going to take us. What happened to the recording?
No, it's still on.
Oh no, you know what it is? I made my screen smaller so I couldn't.